Hi, it's Dr. Lori, and this is Real Bargains. These are the bargains people are finding at yard sales, antique malls, thrift stores, right? And I've been given people like you, and I've been given permission, of course, to retell their stories. Real bargains are everywhere, and I'm going to point out where they are, what to look for, and how you can succeed. So I want you to score. My first real bargain comes from an online appraisal report, and that's where folks will send a photo of objects and fill out a form for me to review, and they get an online appraisal report. So this particular one comes from a Goodwill online auction. So they sent me pictures, wanted to do an online appraisal report, and then they bought this piece at a Goodwill online auction. So she said, I was looking at it and it was a jewelry lot, and you see a picture, and many of you have done this, you see a picture, and my online appraisal report, client said, I saw the picture and I could see the coral necklace kind of peeking through all the other necklaces. I saw that it was coral and I saw the clasp. You always tell us to look for the clasp and to look for the quality materials, and they were just peeking through. You could see it at the shopgoodwill.com auction. Oh, she said, when I got it, after I bought it, I paid $18 for the lot and there were no bidders at all. She said, I don't know why there were no bidders, but I saw this necklace through the other necklaces, and maybe it's because it was a pile of necklaces. I don't know. She said, but there were no other bidders. I paid $18 for the lot. So I said, okay, well, let's focus on this particular necklace. It's 3 strands. It has 8mm beads of coral and also 6mm beads of coral. So there's large beads on 2 of the strands and a small beads on one of the other strands. A 14-karat gold clasp was really the clincher. That's the thing that she actually said, I didn't know if it was 14-karat gold until I saw your appraisal report, Dr. Lori, but wow, this is really a nice piece. I learned from you, Dr. Lori, that if it looks like quality, you should get it. And I recognize the quality. I've been using the loop, I've been learning from the videos, and I'm going to do well with this. I knew it. So 18.5 inches long is what the necklace is, and of course it's coral. It's got a 14-karat gold clasp. You can't lose. You can't lose. What's it worth? You ready? $3,000. That's right, triple strand beaded, beautiful beads, individually knotted coral necklace with the 14-karat gold clasp. $3,000 based on sales records where similar pieces have sold recently. It was a beautiful piece, and the online appraisal report showed you that and showed you, of course, where the other pieces sold. That's a wonderful real bargain. My next real bargain, this is a favorite for me, comes from the trash. I love to hear about the trash. You know, from trash to cash, that's what I say. This is from a video caller. And you know, there are a lot of video callers and a lot of you who have been following me around the country at my events for years. So this particular video caller said, Dr. Lori, you know, I saw these pieces in the trash. I've been following you for a long, long time. And I said, when I saw them, I thought, well, they're a little dingy, but I'm going to take a chance at it because they're sitting there next to the dumpster. I'm going to take these chairs. So 2 armchairs sitting in the trash circa mid-20th century, and she said they were dirty. She said the upholstery was dirty, but they weren't ripped, they weren't torn, they were free, and they were beautiful wood. The wood was still beautiful. So you didn't have those scratches from, you know, like puppy dogs, you know, or cats, you know, before. You didn't have it that it had been banged around. There was no mold or any kind of water damage on the feet from being sitting in water. Sometimes that happens in, of course, storage units sometimes. So she said there were 2 armchairs. The fact that they were 2, I was not leaving. I had to go get the truck. You know, it's a whole operation when you want to take it, even though it's free. So anyway, she paid nothing, and she called, and I said, well, you know what? They're very nice. She said, I did pay $70 to have the upholstery cleaned. I didn't have them reupholstered. I just had the upholstery cleaned. I try to do that first. And this is a tip for the rest of you. She said she tries to do that first, and then if it has to be reupholstered, then she goes ahead and she herself will reupholster it. But she had it cleaned, and they look really good. I mean, especially for a light color like these. Tufted back. The cushions, of course, are here. You can see that there are 2 cushions. Had the cushions cleaned too. And of course, all of the wood. The crest rail at the top is nicely carved, and all of the wood as well. So during the video call, I appraised them. I said they're worth about $300 each or $600 for the pair. She said, well, I'm going to sell them, and sell them she did. She sold them for $500 for the pair. I appraised them a little bit higher, but she was very happy with her $500 sale. So it's not only an appraised value, it's an actual sale. So there you go. The video caller out of the trash, she made some cash. That's a real bargain too. This next real bargain came from Ask Dr. Lori Live, my live show videos that many of you will show your objects, and I'll, of course, appraise them, show you what to look for right on the spot. All of those shows, of course, are unscripted, so I don't know what objects are coming. This piece came from a Goodwill Bluebox. So the Goodwill Bluebox, my, of course, guest on my show paid $49 for the blue box, which had lots of pieces in it. And this particular piece is a Schreiner costume jewelry bracelet. It's a bracelet, of course. It has beautiful rhinestones, beautiful set faux stones, and the security chain. I like the security chain. When you see these costume jewelry pieces with the security chain, that's even better. I always say that's icing on the cake. You see them with fine jewelry, those security chains. But when you see it in costume jewelry, you know that those costume jewelry designers, like Schreiner, like Eisenberg, like Ben Amun, like Trifari, like many of them, like Napier, many of the higher end, of course, costume jewelry designers, Hattie Carnegie, Miriam Haskell, will use them. And I want you to look at this. So she finds this in the glue box. She loves it. And I said, in my way, that piece is worth, on the show I said it, that piece is worth $275 all day, every day. All day, every day. One of my many catchphrases. So in fact, she paid $49 for the whole blue box of all kinds of pieces. And this particular piece worth $275. Well, that's a real bargain. Here's the follow-up. It sold 3 days later for $375. That's right, $100 over the evaluation, over the appraised value. Why? Sometimes people want it and they just want it and they'll pay anything for it. They'll go above, of course, the bidding. They'll just keep bidding it up if they really want it. So that was a real bargain and a great sale too. My next real bargain comes from a video call and, of course, an auction that took place at shopgoodwill.com. This is for a Waterford clock. It's made of crystal and it was in working condition. It's clearly marked. It's a crystal pyramid. You can see it here. And my video caller was a young man who said, well, you know, the bidding started at $7. So I didn't really, either way, I figured, well, you know, it's not bad. It was 1 cent shipping. Many of you are like 1 cent shipping. Of course, some of these auction sites will do that. They'll say, hey, this is a very, very inexpensive shipping situation, so you're not paying a lot for shipping. She said, I see 1 cent shipping. I decided I'm going to put a maximum bid of $10 on this clock. Now, it started at 7. I just did it for fun. I never thought I'd win. So the auction had several days left to continue, to complete, right? He said, I figured somebody else would bid more than $10. I was really surprised when I got an email and they told me that I won for my $10 maximum bid. Because I thought that was great. That was a score. So there were no other bidders. He was happy about the 1 cent shipping, which is sometimes offered on shopgoodwill.com. And in fact, for his $10 investment, he got a clock worth $200. That's right, this nice, substantial, crystal Waterford marked, clearly marked, clock. It's basically a table clock for a desk, like a desk clock. He got it for 5% of the retail value. You can't beat it. That's a real bargain too. This next real bargain comes from a video caller, and this piece was purchased at a traditional thrift store. This necklace was beautiful, and she said she went into the thrift store and she really liked it, and she saw a lot of things at this thrift store, a lot of jewelry on this day. She said, so this piece I thought was kind of unique. I liked the pendant. I liked the fact that it was kind of this green stone against this red stone. I liked the beaded silver necklace chain. And then I noticed that, in fact, the piece was marked on the back of the pendant. Always good. I said, did you recognize that it was Native American? She said, yeah, I had a feeling it was Native American, but I didn't know anything about the mark because the mark is an R with a crescent moon. It's this little tiny mark, and that is called an artist's cipher or an artist's symbol, if you will. And a lot of artists will use it. This particular cipher or symbol represents an artist named Roger Tenora, and that's the artist mark, of course, a Native American piece. It's marked 925 as well. You know what that means. So that's sterling silver. And you can see that you have, of course, the red coral, and then you also have, of course, this greenish colored turquoise. So the pendant is really nice. She paid, guess, $1. She paid $1 for it, and it's worth $450. That's right, with the correct mark, Native American pendant on, of course, the beaded silver chain. That's a real bargain too. This next real bargain comes from a video call and a yard sale. I love yard sales. I think yard sales are so much fun. They're a lot of fun. I like the idea that you're outside. I like that you're outside, you know, you're going here, going there, meeting people. And this particular piece, and of course finding real bargains, this particular piece was an emerald and diamond necklace. That's right, the real thing. The diamonds were real. They were tested with the diamond tester, which of course we offer on our website at drloriv.com. I get compensation when you purchase a recommended product like that. Tested with the diamond tester, and the emerald was also tested with the Presidium gemstone tester. So she tested these. 14 karat gold chain, that's right. And one of the things that you look for when you're looking at these types of pieces is style. So this piece is a very typical 1980s style necklace. It has the 14 karat gold chain that then changes. What do I mean changes? It just basically goes into this lavalier style necklace, this necklace where you have a central stone, and then you have, of course, these elements, these, whether they're diamonds or other precious stones around it to make that central colored stone kind of come forward and show off. Having said that, it's very typical of the 1980s because of that chain that then holds onto those stones. It's not sort of a traditional pendant where you just have the chain, the whole chain, and then one pendant, and it just hangs there on the chain. You want to see this, and this is pretty typical of the 1980s, a little bit more laborious, more labor intensive of making the jewelry. So this particular piece, she paid $30 for it at the yard sale, and she said, well, that was kind of a lot at the yard sale. I always think 20 bucks is a lot at a yard sale. It's like $1 million at a yard sale. But she said, for $30, I knew it was the real thing. It had to be the way the stone looked. And when you look at emeralds, emeralds oftentimes look very dense. You know, they're not always all that clear depending on the quality of the emerald. So she said, I did recognize that it was probably an emerald, but I wasn't sure about the diamonds until I got home and tested them with the diamond tester. What's it worth? $750, I told her on, of course, the video call. So that was a real bargain too. This next real bargain comes from an online appraisal report. Now, that's where folks will send in, of course, pictures and fill out a form, and I'll review it for them, and they'll get a report back. So this was from a thrift store. She purchased it at a thrift store, specifically at the Salvation Army. And this story is a story any of us could have. So she has a little extra time. I don't know if you're like me, when you have a little extra time and there's a store nearby and you're trying to kill a half an hour, you know, hey, why not go shopping? That's what I would do. So she said there was a thrift store very close to a doctor's appointment. So she had a doctor's appointment. She had a little bit of extra time, so she goes into the thrift store. She looks around. She says she always looks for jewelry. She likes to look for the jewelry. She said, but there was a lot of people around the jewelry case, and she didn't have a lot of time, and she figured, you know what, she won't bother with jewelry. She said she oftentimes looks for neckties. Sometimes she looks for belts. Sometimes she looks for purses or shoes. All good. When you're looking in thrift stores, these are all good types of objects to be looking for. And she said, so she went over to the belts, and there weren't that many belts on the rack, but she saw the belts and she said, oh, okay, well, I looked at the one and I picked up the one that was the biggest, the most significant, substantial, the biggest. She said, I saw this and I looked at it and I turned over the belt buckle and it said sterling on it. And I was like, yes, sweet. You know, it says sterling. That's great. So she gets the piece, she sees the piece, she looks over at the register and she sees the long line and she's looking at her clock, she's thinking, I got to go to the doctor, I'm not going to be able to do this. So she puts it back. Big mistake, big mistake. Shouldn't have put it back. The doctor's going to make you wait anyway, you know that. I mean, come on. Anyway, all right, so she puts it back and she leaves the store. And she goes to the doctor, and what happens? You know what happens. She's worried the whole time, and she's going, oh, I wish I took, why didn't I wait, why didn't I wait, why did I get it? Oh, I hope it's there, I hope it's there. So she goes through her doctor's appointment the whole time, and she's hoping that it's there. She's hoping that it's there when she gets back. Okay, so she finishes the doctor's appointment, she gets out of the doctor's appointment, she rushes back, and yes, it was there. So what was there? This was there. This is, of course, a belt buckle, and it was with a jasper stone set inside, scroll work and filigree, sterling silver. It's marked. It dates to the mid to late 1900s, and it was marked with the initials D. Gordon for Delbert Gordon, who of course is a Navajo Native American silversmith and jewelry designer. She said she had no idea about the stone until she got my online appraisal report, and I, of course, identified the stone as the jasper, which is oftentimes what Delbert Gordon will use in his Native American designs. It's a beautiful piece. I was happy she raced back to the store and she got her piece. What did she pay for this piece? $2.19. And it's a real bargain. It's worth $400. That's what they sell for, of course, based on sales records for pieces like this one by this particular artist. Ha! Real bargains galore, that's right. I'm Dr. Lori, the PhD Antiques Appraiser. I hope you find your real bargain real soon.